Welcome to a very special episode of the TalkCondo Release Radar, and today we're going to do the top reasons that we're excited about a very special project called M2M Condominiums. And this has been a project that we've been gearing up for now for the last 4 to 6 weeks as information started to seep through. We're getting a lot of interest from the buyers, and for good reason. So we're going to dive right into the top reasons. The first reason that we're really excited for M2M Condominiums is the location itself.
Sure.
So give us a quick rundown, Amit, of the location of the project and sort of the key takeaways there.
Yeah, sure. So the kind of an overview look at where this site is. It's just north of Young and Finch. So about a couple of minutes walk to the Finch subway station, north of the station. The exact corner is Young and Common. Now, the plaza in question, which was purchased last year, that's the site of the overall development itself. So the entire development is roughly 8.6 acres, and it encompasses not just the plaza itself, but it's also the adjacent 11-story office building as well.
Right.
So it's the entire site that's going to be...
So I do want to highlight, you mentioned it's taken over plaza.
Yes.
So the plaza itself...
The Newtonbrook Plaza.
Newtonbrook Plaza. So anybody who's in the area is obviously very familiar with this plaza. You mentioned 8.6 acre redevelopment of this entire plaza,
And it's going to be master plan, multi-phased as well.
and we're definitely going to talk about that. I did want to hit on the subway.
Yep.
Your steps to the Finch subway station. We cannot emphasize how important it is for high-rise condominium urban development to be close to a subway stop.
Absolutely.
We see time and time again condominiums closer to the stop outperform condominiums not closer to the stop.
Yes.
So this is a great opportunity where we've got a multi-phase project near a subway, and we're getting in at grade level 1. So we check a lot of boxes here, which leads us nicely into the second reason that we're really excited about M2M condominiums, and that is that it is the first tower of a multi-phased 5-tower redevelopment.
Yes.
So give us a quick overview of before we talk about specifically what M2M is going to be doing here. I think it's so important to understand why buying early into a multi-phase development is important. So give us a quick rundown on that strategy and sort of the mindset.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've talked about this at length a few times. What we've seen is any time there's a big grand plan to develop a mini city almost, in this case 5 towers, it's always beneficial for, say, an investor to get in as early as possible, because how real estate works is any subsequent launch is always going to be priced a little bit different, higher than the previous one. So it's always important to get in as quick and as early as possible. So that's the big benefit of buying into a multifaceted, multi-phased development. We're huge fans of that strategy.
It's a great strategy, and it's one that has time and time again paid dividends. Like we look back over the last decade or so, and we can pull out so many examples of people who have bought into a vision before the reality and have earned huge returns. I mean, just rhyming off a couple. Regent Park, Daniels downtown Toronto.
Emerald City
at Fairview Mall. Now eight condominiums, but the first few were the ones where they've seen enormous returns because you're buying into that vision, and it's no different here. I do want to talk now about specifically what M2M have planned for this multi-phase plan. So
Sure.
give us a quick rundown of
the overall picture. Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the site itself is huge. Like if you look at it on, say, Google Maps, 8.6 acres is a substantial amount of space.
It's hard to get people to understand.
Yeah.
You say 8.6 acres, does it really mean?
Yeah, it's big. It's a
Much.
very, basically the developer, Aoyuan, they purchased this site for $200 million
That's
last year.
probably a little bit easier to understand.
It was the largest, probably the largest single transaction in 2017 to take place in Toronto. So the plan, the vision for the site is 5 towers. The first phase, or the first batch of buildings, you're going to have a 34-story and a 36-story with an 8-story podium. So that's going to be phase 1. The plans are really interesting for them. I'm very excited because I know that Newtonbrook Plaza, it's a big draw for the neighborhood because of the retail. But the developers do have plans for retail for this development. Just some numbers I'm going to shoot off. Almost 40,000 square foot of retail planned.
Excellent.
There's a touch over 40,000 of commercial office space, which is also really, really important because obviously if you're replacing a plaza, which is obviously a job center on its own, you have to replace it with something meaningful. And obviously they're taking over the 11-story adjacent office building, but they're replacing it with a substantial square footage.
And we talk about master plan communities, what makes a good master plan versus a bad master plan. You've got the retail component there, you've got the commercial component, you've got the transit component there.
Absolutely.
As well,
And the public space, which we haven't even touched on.
Yeah,
yet.
so I'm going to mention that after. So, but the other key thing here is to, I guess, take care of all those new people. Office, residential, retail people. They're actually building a 4-level underground parking garage to be able to take care and manage all these people. The other amazing thing is, so we talked about 8.6 acres. If you look on the site, you have surface parking, retail structures, surface parking. So it's the stuff behind the plazas, the surface parking, that's actually being turned into a playground and park. Which is amazing to see because you don't always see developers like this. We're going to talk about the developers and sort of their vision later, but it's not very often you see a developer give back to the public, give back to the city, public space, public usable space.
Well, that's buildable square footage of the site.
Absolutely, they could easily add maybe 4 towers on that spot. But they've chosen not to, and they're going to build this beautiful green space.
Perfect. I wanted to go back to something Mike said very quickly, which is about highlighting what makes a good master plan versus a bad master plan. And based on what we've seen in the past, not all master plans are treated equally. And when we identify certain elements that are not in a master plan, the reason we highlight this is because the ones that don't have these elements in them, what tends to happen is that the prices tend to flatline and the rents tend to flatline. They're missing a retail component, or they're missing a commercial component, or they're missing a public space component.
They're missing a draw to what will bring people in. In and stay and want to live in a particular building.
We didn't even mention the double height gym, 3,700 square feet. So to keep people in as well.
Absolutely.
No, but that's a huge component of it in terms of amenities and things like that. Everything is tied together within everything.
Perfect. So I do want to transition next into the number 3 reason we're excited for M2M, and that is the developer. We were very fortunate enough, me and Amit, to be invited to a dinner with them and get to understand Ayuan. They're a new developer in Toronto, but one of the largest developers on the planet. Last year, just to rhyme off some quick stats, in 2017, Ayuan sold $9 billion of real estate globally. So go through some of the key points we need to be mindful of Ayuan. We were blown away when we sat down with them. We were really excited.
They're a very interesting company. So they're not new. They were actually founded in 1996. They've got over 100 major residential and commercial developments across the globe. So their primary focus more recently has been China and Australia, and now Canada as well, in Vancouver and Burnaby. And they've made some significant land purchases in Vancouver as well. In 2017, I know we spoke about the $200 million purchase in Toronto, but they have made big purchases in Vancouver as well. So they mean business. They're here to stay, and they do want to create a very big presence. They, like you said, they recorded $9 billion worth of real estate sales last year. This is an interesting one. Their claim to fame. They created a really interesting community. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but Guangzhou in China, where they sort of combined sports and recreation into the development. They were actually one of the pioneers in the world to do this sort of amalgamation of the two. And they were endorsed by the International Olympic Committee. So they know what they're doing, especially if someone like the Olympic Committee knows and endorses their work. So they're world renowned. They've got some fantastic developments, and they're very forward thinking. And I think we expect to see the same thing at M2M as well, where they're going to bring all this high caliber workmanship, beautiful design. We've seen the renderings too. The renderings are fantastic. The other key element with Ayuan is, and I think it's a very, very important thing, is they've hired local talent.
Well, we're going to actually talk about that next. That transitions into the next reason that we're excited for M2M, and it's the fact that they've hired local expertise.
Yes.
And we cannot stress the importance of that enough.
Yeah.
Now, just to sort of parallel this, we know of other developers that have come in from outside of Toronto, and they tend to bring their team with them. What that creates is a mismatch between...
It's a disconnect.
Yeah, disconnect between what that team believes the neighborhood wants as opposed to what that neighborhood actually wants.
Yes. We don't just see that at the condo level. You see that at other levels.
Any level,
of business, of everywhere, any industry. So
Target, for example.
That's what.
Anyways, no, it's true, and the people that they've hired, are highly
some of the best of the best.
Yeah,
I mean, even
highly
from
skilled, very high caliber people.
From the architect, they've hired Wallman Architects, one of the top Toronto-based architecture firms. They started from the top, but the people managing. The people managing the project from, we hate to say it, but other developers that they've moved from those developers to our Yuan to bring this vision to life. And what they've done is they've bought the best of the best from these companies.
Yeah.
And we've really seen that come to life in the vision that they're presenting for M2M. One of the things that really stood out to us was that the importance of this plaza to the local community. As we're talking to buyers who live nearby, over and over and over again, what's been a common theme is how important this Newton Brook Plaza is. People have memories there. It's a convenience for the retail. So it's a very important piece. And talking to M2M, we've seen that they do not take this lightly whatsoever.
Well, they've called the project M2M, which is the postal code as well. So no, absolutely. The work that they're doing here, and the things that we've said already, it hits all the right points for me. I think this is going to be one of those developments that I think the local populace will appreciate once it's built out, because it will bring a lot to the table. And the other important thing is we speak about the location itself being so close to the Finch station. We have to remember that that's a rapid transit node, and it's only natural when we see a city grow to see these nodes getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more dense. So M2M, it's a 5-tower development, but there's a lot more to come in this neighborhood as well. It's been pinpointed for growth.
So and the density is a positive.
It's a big positive thing, because that will only draw more jobs. It will draw more retail, and this is a fantastic first sort of new development within that neighborhood that will take that even further.
For sure. So I want to sort of emphasize a couple of important things here. Obviously, we're recording this right now at the beginning of April. We don't have floor plans yet.
No.
We don't have pricing. But what we do have right now, and as we've talked through this video, is that we check so many boxes about what gets us excited about an investment condominium building. I mean, we're close to the subway in a node that's growing. It's multi-phase. You're buying in the first building of what we know will be 5 towers that has commercial, that has retail, that has park space designed by people who have been...
they know what they're doing. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
So, it checks so many boxes, and that's why we're not just we're excited, but clients are excited. We've like I said, we've spoken to so many people already that the excitement of this project is already building up. So in terms of the reasons that we've talked about, the location, the first phase of master plan, the developer itself, and the local expertise, it all really, really comes together.
Yeah, very, very nicely.
So in terms of timelines, like I said, we're recording this at the beginning of April. We've been told to expect this sort of towards the end of April, early May.
But be ready.
Sometimes get your questions in now, right? Because this is an interesting development, right? It has a lot of things going for it in an area that, we're going to see a lot of change because of all this redevelopment and all this intensification. So we're excited.
Excellent. So if you're interested in M2M condominiums, reach out to our team and we'll be more than happy to help.